I actually had a pet snake in college.
Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
I'm Ryan.
We're here today in our recording studio, and we are preparing another episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast just for you.
That's right.
And this is a podcast for gamers who don't have time to game because we're busy. So
Yep.
Busy parents, busy life, busy workers, busy bees. You know, all the things. What's going on, Ryan?
Josh, I have a new hero.
A new hero.
I have a new hero.
Okay.
I saw a headline this morning.
Okay.
I just have to tell you the headline, okay?
Tell me the headline.
You have to stick with me, though, because it's a long headline.
Okay.
This is the headline.
Okay, I'm ready.
Breastfeeding mom fights off bald eagle that's attacking her pet goose. That's the whole headline.
What?
Breastfeeding mom fights off bald eagle that's attacking her pet goose.
I held that in as long as I could to pull myself back from the microphone so I didn't blow out your ears.
Yes.
People. Just be appreciative.
That is a 100% real story. I saw the headline this morning, and you know how, in the past on this show, we've talked about, games that have titles where you're like, oh, that's got to be a good game, right? And then it sort of is a letdown?
Yeah. I
read the actual news article. It was not a letdown.
That's great.
This woman is my new hero.
So tell me about this woman and, what on earth? That's insane. So,
I read the article, and, by the way, she went on the Today Show.
Of course she did.
To talk about this story, which, as she should have. So, as she tells the story, she is at home breastfeeding her baby, and she hears, screeching sounds in the front yard. So she goes to her front door and looks out the window, and she sees their pet goose, which we'll circle back to because I have so many questions about.
Fair enough. Fair point.
She sees her pet goose walking around the driveway, and then she looks up in the sky, and there's a bald eagle, circling overhead. And then, so she's just kind of standing there watching, and then this bald eagle, swoops down and attacks the goose. So, her and her husband have, one of those, front door cams or doorbell cams or whatever.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing is caught on video of her running outside and attacking this bald eagle to fight it off of her pet goose.
Wow.
Amazing.
Pet goose.
Yeah, so I have so many questions about that.
I'm hung up on the pet goose thing. It's amazing that she was in the middle of feeding her baby and then
That's actually part of why she's my hero.
Yeah.
Because pet goose, I don't know what to do with that information. I just don't know what to do with that.
Is it and I wonder, is it an actual pet? Or is it more hey, this is a barnyard animal that we happen to keep for certain reasons that are kind of, family related. People will keep, we know people that have ducks.
Around the farm or around the land.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that she has a ton of land, but she has chickens in her backyard.
Right.
And this goose happens to be something that goes along with that for some reason.
I didn't get the story of why it was their pet goose, but it's just amazing to me.
When I was in high school, we had a peacock for a little while. That was fun.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah. That was random, but... so speaking of funny headlines, you have reminded me. So this is another great one.
Here we
this
go.
is another great one. Colorado man gets drunk.
This is like the Florida man, only Colorado.
Colorado man gets drunk, steals a police vehicle.
Yes.
And responds to the 911 call.
No. To his own 911 call.
No, it's not his own.
Okay.
To a different 911. Someone calls the cops and I think it was a domestic dispute.
And he answers.
And he responds to the call and goes up to the door and knocks on the door and and he's like, I'm like, who's the one who's threatening to shoot people or something like that? And just like, and then the actual cops show up, and it was a couple of days ago that I saw this and read this, so I might get details wrong. Forgive me, but like the actual cops then show up, and like they're like, who is this guy? What is he doing here? And like, and
how
then
did you get that cop car?
And then he gets in the cop car and like speeds away, and like cops start shooting at him.
So obviously on this episode of the Dead Tired Dads, we're talking about Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
That's what we'll be reviewing.
And also Untitled Goose Game. Or whatever that one is. Isn't that what it's called? Untitled Goose Game?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, that is not what I'm talking about.
That's funny.
No, I mean, so headlines.
Headlines.
That's that could be a new segment of our show, like funny headlines.
I fully expected to click on that and be let down. Like, nah, come on.
There's no way that a woman saved a goose from a bald. See, and I thought that headline was going a completely different direction. Like, I was expecting like her to be like having been like outside in the park or something, like breastfeeding.
And the bald eagle's like attacking her.
Like the bald eagle starts attacking her, and she has to fight it off while she's breastfeeding.
That's the thing about the headline, is it just keeps like unfolding into new layers of awesomeness. Oh no! I saw the headline, and then I saw I didn't see the whole episode, but a little short clip of the Today Show. And I was like, "That's my hero. Yeah. That lady is my hero."
The drunk guy who stole the cop car in Colorado is not my hero.
Not Josh's hero.
I want to clarify that.
Disclaimer:
We're not talking about headlines of our heroes, just headlines.
Amazing.
That woman's amazing. That woman is amazing.
It's awesome.
Good on her. Good on her.
Awesome.
Also,
a funny story that's related to that, because we always do sort of a funny story or a funny anecdote. So before I came over here to record, my wife said, "Do you have any funny stories?" Because she's always kind of like helping me prepare. And I said, "Well, I have this one, but the show is Dead Tired Dads, and so like I don't know like if this is funny or taboo." So I told the story to her, and she was like, "No, go for it.
Absolutely, you have to tell the story. You have to talk about the headline."
So
yeah, it's good stuff.
Amazing.
Very good stuff. All right. Well, with that,
there you have it.
That's our funny story and anecdote for the week.
Yeah.
And topic of conversation, if you will. Ryan, do you want to get into our game reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Why don't you go first?
Oh, I'm going first. Okay. Well, you and I have kind of talked behind the scenes about this one a couple times, and we even very briefly referenced it on an episode a while back.
Oh.
I'm going to be talking about Genshin Impact.
Ah, yes. I remember this one.
Or Breath of the Wild copyright problems. No, this game is... you've played it too. We both played it.
I played it for about 30, maybe a little less than an hour. I haven't gotten too far into it.
They played Breath of the Wild, and they're like, "This is awesome. Let's just copy and paste it and put it out there." It's actually a fun game. It's kind of it does get different to where it becomes something different.
Well, that's good.
For a good 4 to 6 hours, it's just Breath of the Wild knockoff.
Yeah. I definitely remember that in the hour that I played it. So,
basically the gist is you start out and you choose, like, you create your character, and you choose either male or female, and the story is that like whichever one you choose, the other is your twin sibling, and they get, I think, abducted or something like that.
Yeah, I'm recalling this. Okay.
So like if you create a male character, the female character, like, she sort of looks like you, resembles you, and that's your sister, or vice versa. If you create a female, then your brother gets abducted. And so the basic premise is you're fighting through this sort of fantasy science fiction world to get your twin sibling back. Lots of magic, sword fighting, stuff like that. The interesting thing about this game is you can play it multiplayer, but you certainly don't have to. It's designed as a solo player game. But it is an online RPG.
Huh. I don't know that I realized that when I was playing.
Well, you don't, because there's nothing that like would
Yeah.
make you think that. Unless you're like in the city and you see other players. But otherwise it's just It's a pretty straightforward like adventure.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, it is an online RPG. It does meet our criteria of family friendly. There's magic and swords and stuff like that, but there's no blood, there's no gore. It's very cartoonish. I don't think you have to worry about the violence. You do have to pay attention to the story, though.
Okay.
Like most role-playing games.
Yeah.
You kind of need to pay attention to what's going on. It's fun enough. It's fun enough to be worth playing because it is free.
Okay.
It's a free download
yeah,
everywhere.
That's right.
Everywhere that I've seen it. I played it on PlayStation 4, but I've seen it, I think, on Xbox and PC as a free download. So,
nice.
So it's fun enough to play because it's free, but I don't know that I would... Two things. I wouldn't pay for it, and if you haven't played Breath of the Wild, play that first.
Okay.
Because it's a much better game, and this one, in many ways, is a knockoff of that. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel weird. Like I don't have a whole lot to talk about because I played this game. It was fun enough. I was entertained by it, but it was just kind of this feeling I had was, yeah, I've already
done all this.
Done this.
Gotcha. When you first told me about it and you got me to play it and we're like you didn't tell me anything about it and you were just like, you just need to play it.
Yeah.
And then like tell me what you think.
Right.
Like, and I was like, okay.
Come on.
And so like I got into it and I was like, as I was playing, I was like, this is literally Breath of the Wild. Like everything that's happening is like what happened like at that point we were talking about it a little bit, and you mentioned you had read, or maybe I had read something. One of us read something and you talked about it, or I told you, or vice versa, whatever. But the people who created it were like, yeah, no, we loved Breath of the Wild. And this is literally kind of like a tribute to Zelda.
It was sort of their homage because they loved Breath of the Wild so much.
So, it kind of makes sense that there would be, a lot of overlap there, but
there actually is a whole Reddit forum though that the headline is how is Genshin Impact not in a lawsuit? because of it. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
but
I guess it is different. Like the storyline, as far as like I could tell, was different enough.
Yeah.
Like it steals a lot of the mechanics. It steals a lot. Like you can't technically have a copyright on mechanics in a game. If you could, Nintendo would be even more wealthy than they are.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, and a lot of I noticed all these similarities, and then the big one that really stuck out to me was when you get your glider.
The glider, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh, this is just the same glider.
Yeah, no, and I feel like I don't know that I had made it quite that far when I text you that it was like Breath of the Wild, but that was definitely the thing that put me over the top of like, okay, stop.
Yeah,
just stop.
That's the big one where you're like, okay, this is a copy.
And that's pretty much where I stopped playing.
But I got to thinking about it, and if that's a copy, which it is, I mean, like Mario Kart's been doing that. They have gliders on Mario Kart, so
sure,
like you said, mechanics you can't really.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing was, so I ran into this thing where one of the other reasons I quit playing, I think, was that I had played so far, and then it was like, oh, this is as far as you can play. We've got to download stuff, and it was like,
that's right.
What the heck, man?
The real area that it gets, different, and I actually had a lot of fun with this, is you can have up to, I think, 3 or 4 party members.
Okay. And
so you sort of can recruit NPCs to join you, and you can strategize. So my character was kind of a specialist in fire magic, and I got someone who was a specialist in sword and shield, and then I got someone who was a specialist in lightning magic. So you can sort of put this team together, and that's very different from
Sure.
Zelda,
Yeah,
obviously. In Zelda,
obviously, because it's
because in Zelda you're playing as
more of a-
Zelda.
Shut up.
Ah, yes, internet trolls.
Oh, trolling.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Genshin Impact. It's free, so if it sounds like it's your thing, then go for it.
Genshin Impact.
But yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
There it is. Genshin Impact.
That's all I got.
Yeah. That's what Ryan's got. Love is okay. We're gonna get so much. We're talking all about copyright infringement now.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I guess it's over to me then.
Yeah. What do you got for us?
So, I played a game that was really more of a playthrough story.
Okay.
I played What Remains of Edith Finch.
Ah, yes.
So this was a game that I had gotten. It was on the PS4, and I had gotten it on the PS4 when I had PlayStation whatever their subscription thing is, not for game, but like for online play and stuff like that. When I first got my PlayStation, I had that for a year, and I had downloaded it and played it almost to the end, and then I let my subscription lapse.
No.
And I couldn't finish it. So I was like, man, I wanted to see like what went on there, and so it turns out it's on Game Pass. So I was able to go back and finish the story.
Yeah.
So it starts off, and you're this character that's exploring this house, and you kind of go through, and as you're going through, the person that you are as you're going through the house is kind of narrating what's happening, and so you kind of go around, and it's very very interesting. It's a very interesting experience. So it's hard to call it a game.
Yeah.
And I don't, because it really is, you're doing things, you're controlling a character, but it's the main thing is this story that's kind of unfolding as you kind of go through the house. And so one of the cool things about it is that it does have different kind of elements to it. So there's there's sort of this mystery element that's going on, but also kind of the part of it, there's like this kind of creepy, because it's this weird house, and there's like different kind of things that are going on, and it's a very odd, like it's obviously it's a very unrealistic house. It's like this a house that's kind of like built in this funky way that's completely not realistic, but like and as you go through, like you're exploring these different passages and going through hidden doors and things like that. So and the story that it kind of tells is just a really interesting story about this family, the Finch family, that you're kind of learning about. And there's all kinds of different secrets that you can discover along the way. Part of me kind of wonders if like you could go through and like ignore certain things, like if you could skip over certain parts, but as and by the time you get to the end, you kind of you've uncovered the entire story and what's kind of happened. But yeah, it was an interesting game to play. It was an interesting experience. It's a really quick playthrough. So like you can, I mean, basically in the time that it would take you to watch an hour or 2 hour long movie,
right?
You can kind of see this, kind of play through the story that kind of goes on. And again, it is very interesting, and there's a lot, as far as I could tell. I just kind of blew through it, but like there's a lot in the game that for you to kind of look at and kind of like piece together like certain things about about the inhabitants, I think, anyway.
So is it in the same style as the Telltale games, where it's more of you watching an episode of something, or is there more control than that?
No. It's you're in control of the whole thing.
Okay.
Like you're doing everything.
Okay.
So you're a character. It's a first person view.
Okay.
like you are telling the character where to go, what rooms to go through, and things like that. So it's not really where you're like sitting around watching. You are interacting, you are pushing buttons and telling the character what to do. But as you're doing that, there's a story that's unfolding. And so kind of how it progresses is like as you go through, like you're the main character, Edith Finch is her name, and you go through the house, and as you go into the different rooms, you kind of take over a different partially take over a different character.
Okay.
Or it shows a clip from that other person's life, and there, there's just a lot of really weird, like there's some really weird stuff that happens and some really like it's not like a horror game person, but there's some like I said, there's some creepy stuff that's it's like what is going on here, kind of things, happening. So yeah, it's a good game. I wouldn't necessarily play it. It would be dull for kids to watch. So like not. And it's not like there are any bad things in it. It's just that I wouldn't necessarily call it family friendly per se. And I guess there is some language in it and some, but yeah. And there's just so many different. It's hard to it's a game that's hard to explain. Because like I said, it really is more of a story. But they bring in so many different kind of game styles, even though it is really just the story kind of unfolding, and so there's just a lot of different stuff with it. I'd say give it a chance, go play it. Just to it was a fun playthrough. I'll say that. So I enjoyed it. Not really any replay value in it, but you can get it for free in a couple different places. I didn't look to see how much it would cost if you were paying for it. Our tech department can probably look that up.
They
real
can probably
quick.
find it. I feel like we. I don't know if we talked about it on an episode or if it was maybe after we recorded one time, but I feel like you and Matt and me were sort of sitting around talking about this game.
Yeah. So there's a physical copy on eBay for $175.
Oh yeah, I mean that's got to be worth it, right?
I wouldn't pay that for it. Although the fact that it is a physical, I'm sure there's a rarity thing with that because I'm sure physical copies of this game. Because, like I said, it's not this is not a game that
there can't be that many physical copies.
So digitally, it's $20. I don't know that I would pay $20 for it, honestly. Now it's very well. It's a very well done game.
Yeah.
The graphics are visually it's very well done. So there is that aspect to it, but. I don't know if I don't know that $20 is worth it. So I wouldn't say necessarily, but if you can find it for free, if you have Game Pass or if you had it from when PlayStation 4 had it for free there, or if it's free somewhere else, you can get it. I'm sure Steam would have it on sale at some point. $10 I would say would be a good price for it. It's a good playthrough.
I actually have it on my hard drive.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I just anytime the PlayStation Plus free games come out, I just download them and put them onto an external hard drive, and I just hold them there until I feel like playing them, which is usually never, because I never get around to that. But that's a different story.
But yeah, lots of it really is a cool experience.
Yeah. I've heard good things about it before.
So, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily worth $20, but cool experience. If you can get it for cheaper than $20, I'd say go for it. And enjoy the experience, enjoy the ride that it kind of takes you on as you're kind of exploring the house of Edith Finch and the Finch family legacy. So,
there you go.
That's it. So,
all right.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the whole, Ryan?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well, we're going to give you guys some time back today. Usually we go, much longer on these, or we have been lately.
Been going longer.
We've been going a lot longer, so we're going to cut it short today, or a little shorter anyway.
There you go.
But thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. All the things.
Do all the things.
Like, subscribe, share, and if you have suggestions of games that you think we ought to play, we'd love to hear them, and we'd love to have the opportunity to hear from you about those games.
Yes, I still need suggestions
Ryan
because I leave in
needs
8 days.
8 days from today.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
From the release of this episode.
Exactly.
Yes, 8 days from the release of the episode. So get those recommendations in
Send them my
to
way.
Ryan, and you can do that so that he has games to play while he's on his trip. But in the meantime, thanks again for listening. We will catch you next time on the next episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast. Bye.
Bye.